Hi guys, I'm back. What plonker. I had the lock on, that's why it wouldn't work. So I'm going to do 9 holes, okay? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not very pretty, I know, but hey. It doesn't really matter as long as it does the purpose. So this is what we've got our threads here, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to separate them out, and I am going to basically put them in here and try and work out which colours they are as well. Okay, so I'll try and put them in order here. Excuse the dog, somebody's walked past the window. So this is the dark green. Okay, that's the dark green. And then we've got like this turquoisey green here, this turquoisey colour, so we'll pour that out. Try not to get it all tangled. Okay. So you can see I don't really need any fancy cardboard. This was just cardboard that I found in a little tin that I had that was obviously just sat around. I would have put the cardboard eventually in the recycling, so it's come in handy, and I'm using it a double thing for this. It's nice long bits of thread actually, so hopefully they've been quite generous. It's handy to sort your thread. It just makes it a little bit easier when you're looking at things and you're dividing your colours up. I just think it's very, don't do like I've done and just pull it apart randomly, make it all messy. And then all I'm doing, look, is I'm just pulling it through and I'm just looping it just so that it stays secure. Okay, so that's the light pink one. So this is the dark pink one, I think. I guess it wouldn't really matter because all the colours are about the same. You're doing quite a, the actual picture itself is just a it's just little books, so I guess you could do the books in the colour is the same, so as long as you stick to like the thread amount is the same for each one, so I guess wouldn't matter if you mix up some of the symbols, but I'm gonna stick to the pattern as much as I can here. Okay, and then I've got an orange one. Okay, and then I've got a yellow one. Okay, I love cross stitching. The very first cross stitch I did was a fairy. I will show you that. I've got one framed, and then I did the second one to go with it. I think it was night and day. Never put them up. It's the actual doing of them I like. So I don't know what to do with them, but right, so this is my, so you can see I've put all of my threads here on a board, okay, and what I'm going to do now is I need to be a bit more organized in future and try and find a pen. So sorry about this. So now you can see you've got the stitch symbols here, so I'm going to do across there. This one is a circle. This one is a love heart, which is actually filled in. So I'm just going to fill that in a little bit. The reason I'm filling that in is because if, say, for instance, you were doing this for a larger pattern, you may have a love heart that doesn't have anything in. Okay, so it's just good practice to do it. Then this pink is a triangle. This one is like an oblong. This is like a funny hash thing. Ooh. This is going to challenge me. This is like a star, a wonky star. Pretend that's my star. Okay, that's a star, a squish star. This is a cross or an X like that. And then I've got, so you can see, look, that symbol and this next symbol, if I was to draw it, it's the same, but one's coloured in. Okay, and that just kind of shows you, basically, it just organises your threads. It keeps it a little bit better as you're going. And it will kind of just, it will organise your threads, it will just keep them neat, and it allows you to see what the actual icons are here, okay, just so that you can see those, and then they will correspond with your pattern. So as you're working on your pattern, you will be able to see the little ones here that you can actually do, okay. So that's the first step I do to prepare, okay. The next step I do is, and this comes from my old needlework days in school, which was many years ago. Whenever I was doing anything with fabric, my needlework teacher at the time, she basically said to always make sure you do like a border to basically stop your edges from fraying. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, and this is a little bit tedious sometimes and a little bit boring, but I think it's worthwhile, and it just gets you used to things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through my squares here. It doesn't have to look pretty because you're not doing anything that is going to be, it just helps to stop your edges fraying. Okay, so just literally, you could do 2 squares at a time, 1 square, whatever you're feeling. Okay, I normally do 2 squares just because it gets it done a bit sort of sooner. But this is like just preparing your work, and it makes sense to prepare, to be honest with you. That's cortlock because that's fraying. So I'm just going to see if I can separate that a little bit. There you go, that bit's come off. This is quite this is quite stiff fabric actually. I probably took off a bit too much thread as well. So you can see, look at what I mean. So where I've started that, look, that's not been cut ideally very straight. So I'm going to go down to the next row, just so that I can continue with an edge. But that's okay. You normally get a little bit of allowance. However, this was only £1.50, so I might not get as much allowance as I think. But do you know what? This is a really good little present for maybe a youngster who's getting into crafts or something, or if you're just beginning. It's not a lot of money. It gives you everything that you need. Again, look, I'm going to come off of that if I'm not careful, so I'm just going to come down here. Okay. This also helps as a little bit of a gauge, because if I was to look at this properly now, and when I'm doing this, I might actually think, let me take that to one side a second so that you can see. So say if I always find the center of my my fabric before I start, okay, and so if I was to fold this in 4s, okay, that is my centre. That's where I want to start. However, I want to be mindful that this is actually different. So when I am actually looking at it, because this is such a small piece, I will just double check and just see how many I've got so that I make sure I've got an even amount. So when I'm looking at my pattern here, you can see this is probably my longest piece here. So when I start it, because I'll find the center, which is roughly here, I will just make sure that that is not going to go too close to the edge, because I've got this very uneven edge here, which is fine. That's okay. Okay, and let's just go through this. This is the bit that is probably the most boring, not going to lie, but it is beneficial. Okay. You know, you don't have to do just like 2 stitches like I'm doing. You can do three gaps or whatever. I just thought I'd just stick to 2, to be honest with you. Just help to keep it like in place a little bit, and you can take this out at the end. You don't need to worry about starting and finishing. Just leave a thread, because you're going to take it out, and you're going to take it out eventually one by one. This gets you, actually though, what is nice about this is it does get you used to your needle. For those of you that like are not used to doing stuff, it gets you used to using it, to putting it into the holes, which is fine. I'm going to show just show you what I can do with these and see. Probably won't finish all of this one tonight, because it can take a little time when you're showing people how to do them, but it's just a way to relax and do stuff. I've tried to show people before. I think with cross stitch, it's a really relaxing thing to do, especially if you love counting things, because it's all about counting and doing that and switching off. And if you're somebody that likes doing things the same way, your crosses are all the same way, which is really good. I've seen things on needlepoint at the moment, which I'm going to try, because that looks quite interesting and another way of doing things, and it looks like you can give you a little bit more of a variety. To be fair, like some of the cross stitch patterns are not always that exciting, or they haven't been in the past. I do think you just need to look though, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are generating patterns, and it's just what takes your fancy and what interests you. And also think about, like, if you're doing this for somebody, so if you're making a gift for somebody, you don't want to do something that you love, because they may literally hate it. But you want to think about the individual that you're making something for and what they would actually like as a present. Okay, so I'm just moving down a square there purely because my end is not straight. What do you want, Poppet? You can't stay there, can you? No, because I'm busy. I will move you as soon as I've just finished this, because otherwise you're going to get hairs everywhere, aren't you? What are you doing? Hey, come on, off you go. No, you can't sit there, Bertie. You cannot sit there. It's a good job. This is something that I'm not too worried about, because now probably what I would do if this was a bigger bit of stuff that I was like something that I was really worried about, that what to get spot on, I would have actually looked at this and made sure that I'd stitched along where I could see the edges were uneven. Okay. Bertie, that is not overly helpful, Poppet. Really not helpful. As cute as you are, I am going to evict you in a minute. And look, you've done a paw print over my mat now. You finding it relaxing? You purring? Right, so you can see like this, because I'm getting to the edge where I'm not really worried about where it is, but you can see that that is kind of very close to the edge there, so it could fray. But again, I'm not worried about the edges, so I just leave those loose. And we've got the center of, we're going to find the center of what we're doing. Okay, so again, I would just fold it, and then you can mark it if you like, or just put your needle through where the center is, and then you can work out how your pattern is, what your pattern is, and where you're going to go. Okay, but that is a good way to sort of indicate where to start something and where your middle of your fabric is. Okay, now this isn't a very large piece, so some people might actually decide that they don't want to use a hoop, to be honest with you, but you can get hoops that are quite small. So I've got this hoop that I've had for quite some time. You can pick them up for about £5. You can pick up plastic ones. I do actually like the wooden ones. It's just my preference. I just think it's just, I don't know, I find it nicer to work with. So all you do is you literally lay your fabric over, okay, and you're going to put your hoop on there. Okay, just make it a bit wider. Okay, and you want it fairly tight. Okay, a hoop basically just holds it in place. This isn't a very big project, and most experienced people will just actually do it as it is, without holding it. But if you're not that experienced and you want to just keep your fabric a little bit tighter, this is a good way of doing it, and just to see how it goes. All right, then you just tighten it up, and it just keeps it in one place. Okay, so like that. So now we're going to get our fabric and we're going to find our threads. Come on, Bertie, move your bottom. Thank you. So we've got Bertie that has decided he is literally just going to sit there across everything. So we'll just let him carry on until he gets fed up. So you can see here, this is the center. You've got arrows pointing to where the center is. Okay, so this is your center of your piece of project. So you've got here. Okay, so if I was to come down here and carry along here, okay, with that one, roughly the center is around about here. Okay, so you can see we're starting at this bit here. Okay, and this is where you can make a decision. You can decide, I can either do that way, all right, or I can do that way. Okay, so what would you prefer to do? Now I'm just going to check that. 10, 10. So that's 10, that's 10. You see, I would probably say first 10, that's your second 10, that's your third 10, which is there. I would actually probably say that's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 30, 40. I would actually say that's your centre, because that is going to be, so I don't think that is right there. I'm actually going to think this is my centre here, so you've got 2 bits either side. So do you know what I think? I am going to start with, so if I come along here to this one roughly here, okay, I think this is my centre here. Okay, so I'm going to start with maybe this one, and we can go from there. And you can see this very first block here, this is the actual solid line. Okay, so right, I'm just going to move the cat because the cat is getting in the way. Come here, Bertie. That's it. Good boy. Go on then. Go find a table. Right, so, and I'm going to just put this out a little bit.